welcome to the Southgate Media Group podcast marathon number 6. I am Phil. This is Tyler. And
hey, everybody.
Part of the CapesandLunatics and the CapesandLunatics sidekicks. We've seen a bunch of our shows. This is the Ultimate Spider Cast, and kind of mixing it up. Tyler's not usually on there. You're going to see pretty much all of the CapesandLunatics hosts on shows that are not a part of for the most part. So, yes, I'm throwing something different at everyone. So, for this episode, Tyler and I are going to be discussing a classic Spider-Man story, Amazing Spider-Man number 300, the first full appearance of Venom from May 1988. I mean, it's reprinted all over the place. You can read it on Marvel Unlimited. I think Comixology probably has it. But if you look for the original issue, you're going to be paying big bucks, my friends, because
I forgot that it came out in 88. Like, it's one of those things that just feels like it was a 90s thing, but then, like, we first talked about this, I was like, okay. And then I forgot, like, it's one of those stories that you've read, but then you kind of, if you're not really into it and bring it up a lot, you kind of forget all the details, because there's some things in here that I forgot that was in this kind of concept, you know? And I'll explain more as we get into the book.
I know you're a bigger DC fan. Have you read this one before?
Yeah, years ago.
Okay.
Because I mean, I said it before. Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. You know, I remember like the animated series came out, like when they did the Venom episodes, it was huge, and of course, everybody ran to the comics, and it's one of those I remember seeing and kind of knowing, but I'm trying to remember this, like, trying to compare it to another story where, like, you think certain things are in it, but they're not.
Yeah.
They come later. And that's why when I was rereading this, I was kind of surprised, because, you know, so much of, like, Venom's story, like, I've seen over and over in, like, the different animated versions. And, of course, the one time in the movie that was Spider-Man and Venom, that there's certain parts that I was like, oh, yeah, that did happen in the book like that. So it was cool to revisit, you know.
Oh, yeah, they almost, we'll get into this later on, but they almost went a different way with who's going to get this suit. So, but yeah, this, like I said, this one is from May 1988. David Michelinie, writer, he was on this book on Amazing for a while. Penciler and inker, I don't know if anyone's heard of this guy, Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane. The toy guy?
just sold not quite, almost, just missed selling 500,000 copies of King Spawn #1. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. Quick side note. It's crazy to me when I think back now how big Spawn was. Mm-hmm. Because I just remember, like, in the late 90s, like, you had Spawn toys and, like, merch, and it was just off the comic, and it's not a kid's property. The movie wasn't even out, but yet you had toys and merchandise, and it was just up there. It felt like as big as the other, you know, books.
I think he's making another big push because he's going to be spinning a bunch of more Spawn books out, and I guess with that movie coming, probably, yeah, he's making a big push, I think, again. So
I think a Spawn video game would be awesome.
Oh yeah,
just playing a Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11 is neat.
There was, I mean, it was okay. There was a Spawn game. Was it for PS2? I think. Yeah, I think it was for PS2. I don't know if you ever played it. I mean, it was all right. It was, you know, for the time, it was a pretty decent game, graphics and everything.
You just think about what they do now, but we digress.
So yeah, Todd McFarlane, penciler and inker, Bob Sharon, colorist, letterer Rick Parker, editor Jim Salicrup. And the title of this, spoilers, Venom.
And it's just kind of like, it's Venom, but it's kind of like, I don't know,
they really brought the teeth down. He doesn't even have the big teeth yet.
Right. So spoilers, we're going to go through the book. What threw me off about this book is I had forgotten that even after he lost the symbiote suit, Peter continued wearing a black costume.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, because I actually talked to I talked to him a few times. We're on Friends, who was drawing like the book when Peter originally got the symbiote, and like they were afraid that like people were gonna hate the black suit, so like they were only gonna do it for like a month or two. But like Tom DeFalco was like, no, we got, because like Secret Wars had started right as he came back, so they're like, no, we have to keep it for at least for a couple months. But like it became so popular, even when he gave up the symbiote, like the Black Cat made him like I think at least 2 or 3 like just like cloth suits, but they look like the symbiote. So yeah,
which is weird, like to me, like because such a big deal was like, because now like you see that spider, you think symbiote. That's Venom, or that's Spider-Man with the symbiote on. So when the book started and I was reading it, I was thinking that Peter still had the symbiote, and then when Mary Jane's talking, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, all right. And I was like, okay, it's one of those you just I didn't remember all the details.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was weird for the longest time. Yeah. They were swapping back and forth between that black costume and the red costume. He would take turns wearing both, and then the red one got trashed after a while. But yeah. So Spider-Man returns home from New Jersey. He finds his wife in hysterics. At first she thinks he is the same man who broke into their home. Peter pulls off his mask, reassuring his wife that it's actually him. She tells him about the intruder, how he was a large man wearing a Spider-Man suit like his. However, much to her horror, the mask grew a smile full of teeth. She assures Peter that she is fine, but can't stay the night in the apartment. Peter understands and goes into the bedroom to pack a bag so they can stay in a hotel. Peter wonders to himself what kind of creature could have frightened her so badly. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, the man who broke into the Parker's apartment returns to the ramshackle building he has been staying in. He speaks to another, telling it that they had to leave because the woman kept on screaming. As he walks through the shadows, his costume suddenly disappears. This man assures his other that they will cross paths with Spider-Man eventually. To pass the time, this man begins lifting weights, as much as he would do in the 90s, in order so he can stay in enough shape to kill their hated enemy. Later, after they have settled into a hotel room and Mary Jane is asleep, Peter finds that he cannot. All he can think about is the man who broke into their home. He's not sure who he is, but from the sounds of it, he was wearing his old alien costume. Peter recalls how he got the costume on Battleworld during Secret Wars. He eventually allowed Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four to examine the costume, and that's when he learned that it was a symbiotic creature that was trying to permanently bond with him. And there's been at least 2 versions of What If. There's one just out recently where it's like, what if he didn't get rid of that suit right away? Although it was separated from Peter using a sonic weapon, because its weaknesses are sonics and fire, it eventually escaped. When it tried to bond to him, Peter thought he had destroyed it by exposing it to the peals of church bells. In what was Spider-Man 1? While he tries to think of what to do next, Mary Jane wakes up and asks Peter to come back to bed. He apologizes to his wife as he figures his secret identity would protect her from Spider-Man's foes, but she tells him that she married him for better or worse. Boy, this synopsis is kind of long.
This synopsis is the book.
I know. Some of them are, some books you'll get like 1 or 2 sentence synopses, but this is huge. But so, all right, long story short, yeah. I mean, he eventually finds out that, Venom is actually Eddie Brock, which again, because he says he was Spider-Man destroyed his career because he proved his Sin Eater story. He said he knew who the Sin Eater was, but it turned out to be someone else, which was an actual story, because I think it was in 2017. Charlie and I talked to Peter David, who wrote that Sin Eater story. And he said, like David Michelini, like called him and he's like, hey, can I use this for my Venom story? He's like, yeah, go ahead. Because really Brock's awesome. Not in that story, but it's like, you just see, the press has, named this one guy, and then it turns out to be somebody else. But yeah, they never show a specific art reporter or anything.
That's awesome.
But you know what? It could have been even darker because, I forget where I heard this, but supposedly the original idea was it was going to be a woman, and it was going to be something like one day she was on her way to the hospital to give birth, but she gets stuck in some giant traffic jam or something because Spider-Man's battling someone, and she miscarries.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know, an editor or whatever was like, oh, no, that's too dark. And besides, every time Venom shows up, Spider-Man's going to be punching a woman in the face. They're like, no. At 1988, they're like, no, we can't do that. That's too dark.
I mean, yeah, that's that'd be an interesting, like a one-off,
know,
kind of like a what if.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But I think the rival journalism thing's interesting. I mean, I think the idea that Eddie Brock here wasn't the big buff man that he always is depicted as. He talked about he started lifting basically to relieve some of the stress and anxiety he had going on. Mm. And it's just one of those things when you go back and you read the story and see where it started and what was going on compared to knowing where it goes. Mm-hmm. Because like you're already like pre-programmed so much with who Eddie Brock is, who Venom is, all that type of stuff. That's seeing it like this. It's a kind of a shocker, and not shocker as in the Sinister Six shocker, but
exactly.
Just like,
and
a surprise.
And Venom has like this twisted code because it was like, he one of the next times he shows up because like back in this first couple appearances, he would show up like once a year, like clockwork, try to kill Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man would capture him and stuff. But yeah, he like showed up in Aunt May's house. He's like, "You stay away from my aunt." And he's like, "Oh no, I don't hurt innocents." He's like, "But you're not innocent, Spider-Man." So that's why he like never reveals Spider-Man's identity or anything. But like you see in the story, because of the suit, he doesn't set off his spider sense. So it's, and that suit can like look like anything pretty much. So.
And I think that's what makes, it's so interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, this, like Peter talking about feeling followed, but yet he doesn't have his thing.
Yeah, no
his spider sense.
Yeah. And then,
I like,
he knew the suit could look like any clothes, but then like there was one time Venom takes him to a tropical island and he was like making the suit like blend in with like the water or like the beach or the trees and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that thing can like actually, you can actually be like a chameleon in that suit.
I like the dynamic in this of just, Peter and Mary Jane, early married. It feels like,
yeah,
this is the late 80s, right before the 90s. But it still has that kind of 90s feel of like, all the superheroes are getting married.
Yeah, this was like within the first, because they got married in 87, so this was like within the first year of them getting married.
Well, I like that we have the, Peter, you should do fashion photography. And then the whole, in that case, man, oh man, how about some pictures for our private collection? I was like, okay, Peter and MJ, right? I was like, dang, she's a little feisty.
No, I know. And like, McFarlane always loved like drawing her in like sexy little outfits as we see in the hotel. Yeah.
Oh, when she like first wakes up, she comes walking in like, Peter, look at my outfit. He's like, I'm just wearing pajama pants.
And it's like, it's so funny because like in the 90s, they like, well, the late 80s, early 90s, like McFarlane and like even like Eric Larson who took over afterwards, like they would give her like big Peg Bundy hair and stuff.
I mean, but then it cracks me up when you think about when we got the animated series and they put her like in cowboy boots.
Yeah.
I'm like, where did that come from? Like, the one that I really like that is when they see Aunt May. Mm-hmm. And gosh, I love this little part right here where Aunt May says, I just want your marriage to work. And so many couples get split apart by nosy relatives who try to run their lives for them. I was like, good on you, Aunt May.
Oh yeah. I mean there's always like back and forth with Aunt May, and I don't know how she's still alive.
Yeah.
One more day.
Okay, so I like Robbie Robertson in this because I was trying to remember where Peter was with Robbie and where work and all that, like the setting of this story was taking place in continuity. When Robbie's talking to him about the photography job. And I guess what really caught me off guard is when we first see Venom, when I guess we would be on, it's not numbered, but when we first see Venom show up and he doesn't look like Venom, like he just looks like a bigger black suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would refine that look because even by his next appearance, he has like the longer teeth and stuff. Yeah.
And that's what threw me because the first image of Venom, when he comes out of the shadows, is kind of a letdown. It's not very surprising. Mm-hmm. So we have two people in black suits fighting, and the symbiote looks just like Peter's black suit, except it has a mouth with with teeth, and he's thicker because he talks about Eddie, working out. But then the next time he actually has the teeth and the tongue and he's Venom.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, so I go through this whole book and I'm like, this is cool that it's Venom, but at the same time, like, it's not Venom. Like, it's like a version of Venom.
Yeah, his next appearance, like 15, 16 issues from now, he has the teeth and the tongue and all the whole,
So that's what threw me about this is because he's creepy, but, he looks so much just like Peter. And so, I mean, I wonder if they had the idea how far this character was going to go.
And like I said, his first couple appearances, he would just appear every year, once a year, like clockwork. So it's like from this point, they have like about a year, maybe a little more to, I guess, refine the idea even more. So,
and how much like people took to Venom.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like it makes me want to know a little bit more about the history of the character as far as. Was this kind of like an idea that came to him, or was this kind of planned for the symbiote to come back, or did they think the symbiote was gone?
I don't know how far before this, they had the plan for this, but I know there was at least two different. I think it was in Web of Spider-Man. There was two different you get a last page where there was one where he's hanging on the side of a building and someone reaches out a window and knocks him off the building. He's like, that didn't set off my spider sensors. There's another one where someone pushes him in front of a subway car and he's able to jump out of the way at the last second. But again, he's like, my spider sense didn't go off. So it's like, I was going to say, I'm trying to remember how, there was at least a couple months beforehand, I think they had this idea, but I don't know how far back.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good story. It's a good, interesting first appearance for Venom, but it just threw me that it wasn't the Venom that you think of, with the tongue and the teeth and the really perversion of the black suit. And, I love at the end that Peter takes the black costume off and burns it, and Mary Jane pulls out the classic, and then we have that last page of him back in the classic Spider-Man.
I know. It's so funny because the cover for 301, I don't know if you saw it, it's it almost looks the same. He's swinging in the same pose, but it's in the red and blue suit.
Let's go pull that up.
I was gonna do a quick eBay search. Oh yeah. I was looking up Amazing Spider-Man 300 on eBay. The cheapest. How is one only 99 cents? Oh,
that's the starting bid.
That's somebody's bid, yeah. Because besides that, the cheapest one I see is $365
for the buy now.
$315, okay, $420. Oh man, somebody got it, slabbed and got it graded at a 9.6, and it's $3,000.
Oh dang!
Yeah, because I guess maybe because it's the first full appearance of Venom.
What issue? Yeah. What do you think? What's the second appearance of Venom?
Like I said, it might be 315. I think. I don't know. Although he might just show up at the end of that. It's either 315 or 316 might be the full, second appearance. Oh wait, yeah, Amazing 315 second appearance of Venom. This one's only going for 30 or 40 some. Oh, someone wants 107 for it. All right. Well, anyway, look, we're coming to the end of our time already. See how much time flies when we're talking about homicidal aliens?
But see, even in Venom's second appearance, he's still that. He doesn't have the tongue and the teeth, and because I always think of Venom the venom he's spewing, but
yeah. All right. Well, our time's about up. So, all right, give me a grade for this issue.
Letter grade or number grade?
Whatever you want to do.
I'll say letter grade. I'd give it an A.
Yeah.
I think it works well as almost a standalone where you can kind of feel like you can drop in and read it and enjoy it without as much past knowledge. The only thing that really, like I said, throws me is just Venom not really looking as much Venomy.
Yeah.
And the fact that Peter was still in a black suit. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but it was good.
Yeah, it was a cool visual. But yeah, I agree with you with the A. I mean, I think it's a good start for the character, and you can refine it, and of course, you can make that suit look like anything. So it's hey, next time I'm going to make it look scarier. Yeah,
I'm kind of flipping through, and you're starting to give him some teeth.
Yeah,
but he still hasn't got the tongue.
Yeah. All right, kids. So keep your eyes out. I'll be back on the marathon with some of the other hosts of the Capes and Lunatics, talking all things Marvel and DC. And you can always check us out on the Capes and Lunatics and the Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast. You can always email us. We'd love feedback, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call our voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And we have a whole bunch of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook fan groups. Find links to all of that. We have a YouTube channel, our Patreon, merchandise at Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics, and that will take you to links to all of our stuff. All right, and Mr. Tyler Patrick talks Superman all the time on the Krypton Report. Tyler,
we do.
Tell them about the Krypton Report.
Well, you can catch Krypton Report. We have a part of the marathon going on, and we're going to talk some super things, but you can catch us anywhere online through Krypton Report. Look for us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have some fun videos coming on YouTube, so check those out. And always send us an email if you have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss. We're always up for conversation.
All right, so thank you everyone for joining us. Again, check out Spider-Man. Check us out on the Sidekick podcast. Tyler will both be back on the marathon. And again, check out Southpeak.com. Until then, swing on back.